Here we are, and there you are. And it's Friday. You're hanging out in the Major Spoilers Twitch channel, all part of the Major Spoilers Entertainment Network. Happy Friday indeed, Mark Smith. This is the part where you're supposed to insert something clever. Say something smart and interesting. We're going to save that for the main show. Or maybe not. Depends on you. Finally, Friday is being brought to you this week by Major Spoilers VIP and Patreon members from around the world. You can show your support for everything we do by joining us over at patreon.com/Major Spoilers. Happy Friday, everyone. Oh my gosh, we have made it to the end of another week. And I know a lot of people are super stressing out. Believe me, I've been there. I know you are there. But it's good to just get to Friday and take that deep breath and slide into the weekend as we sit around and talk about things. Today is Friday, October 16th, 2020, and we are halfway through Inktober. I don't know if you guys know what Inktober is. According to Wikipedia defines Inktober as... Actually, let's go to the Inktober website, where they break it all down for you in a neat FAQ, a month-long art challenge created by Jake Parker that is focused on improving skill and developing positive drawing habits. Every day for the month of October, anyone participating in the Inktober challenge creates an ink drawing and posts it online using the correct hashtags and using the prompt for the day. And I think this is really great. I think Inktober is a neat thing, just like NaNoWriMo that's coming up in, oh my gosh, 15 days, 20 days, or not 20 days, actually. It's probably like 15 days. Yeah, 15 days. NaNoWriMo will be here, a month-long challenge where you are tasked with writing a short novel in that time period. Everybody's getting geared up. So Inktober, kind of a little bit of that. It's getting chillier outside. People are moving outside to inside, and you're looking for indoor activities to do. Inktober seems like a good thing. But here's the thing that I notice. A lot of people get stressed out about NaNoWriMo and Inktober. Just like freaking out all up and down. And here's the thing. You don't win anything. There's no monetary reward that you get at the end if you do all 31 days or if you complete your short novel. There's no ribbon that you get that says, hey, congratulations, you are the first place of all the people that participated in Inktober. No. Inktober is just a challenge. So you can improve your skills and develop positive drawing habits. Just like NaNoWriMo. It's great if you get to the end and you have a short story. Maybe that's something you can sell, but there's no guarantee that you're going to get any money out of NaNoWriMo. And there's no guarantee that this Inktober is going to lead to, a comic book job or a New York Times editorial cartoonist. I don't even know if New York Times has an editorial cartoonist. But too many people get wrapped up and stress out about things like Inktober and NaNoWriMo because they don't know where to start and they don't know if they can do it. And they're just sitting there. And I know some of you out there who are currently participating in Inktober, and I know who you are, and you know who you are, who are sitting there just going, I have no idea what to draw. I don't feel like I have a voice or a style of my own. And so if I put pen to paper and I start Inktobering it up, people are going to think less of me, or I'm going to think less of myself, or I'm going to do horrible at this. And I guess those are okay thoughts to have, but remember, you're starting to develop habits to make yourself a better artist, a better writer. And a habit of getting out your pen and ink every day and drawing something is good. Because guess what? At the end of those 30 days, suddenly you're on day 32 and you're drawing, and day 33 and you're drawing, and day 40 and you're drawing, and day 100 and you're still drawing every day. And I know you may be sitting there going, oh man, but I'm not improving. Are you? Had a class today with one of my students. She's in a script writing class, and we were talking about a lot of things that she can do just to better herself. I mean, she's at home. She's doing virtual classes. She's not going anywhere. So she's got plenty of time. I mean, in addition to relaxing and doing, personal care things, mental care things during time of pandemic. It's like she's writing a script in her script writing class. Great, I tell her. As soon as you're done with that script, don't just set it away and say, well, I've done my script and I don't have to write another script ever again. Or I finished my script now, everybody pay me money. Because no, when she's done with her script, the next thing she has to do is write another script. And then another script, and a script after that, and a script after that. And pretty soon, about 6 scripts from now, she's going to sit down and she's going to go back and look at her first script, which she thinks she's doing a great job on. And so it's a good script. She's a good writer. And she's going to look at that first script and go, holy crap, this was awful. What was I thinking? And she's going to look at her 7th script and go, this is much better than what I did before. And then she's going to crank out 7 more scripts, and she's going to look at script 7 and say, well, that wasn't very good. But look how good script 15 is now. And she's improving over time, just like I bet. Toss the halfling. I bet you're going to go at the end of 31 days, at the end of the month, you're going to look at your art that you do on October 31st. I guess it's going to be a Z prompt is my guess, right? Or something else, gamma. Because do we just repeat over with A, or do we just start going into the Greek alphabet like hurricanes? I don't know. But you're going to get to day 31, and then you're going to go back and look at image 1, and you're going to say, oh my gosh, look how much I've improved. Look how much better I am. And you're going to feel good about yourself, and you're going to say, look, I'm going to go on to day 32, and day 32 is going to be better than 31 because you're building those habits and you're building those skills. And then we get into the part of the conversation that I think going to do numbers. Oh, numbers after that. Okay, I thought you meant like paint by numbers. And it's like, well, okay. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with paint by numbers because that does lead into this next area. Where do you draw inspiration from or for? Again, whether you are script writing, whether you're NaNoWriMoing, whether you're Inktobering. I don't know what other art challengey things that they have. Color March or something. Magic March. Color Vimber. I don't know what they have. Is there a coloring one? I'm sure there is. But where do you draw inspiration from? You might say, I don't know what to draw. I have no idea. And I had this conversation again with my student today. So if my student's watching, it's like she's getting a second lecture, a second discussion. And finding your voice in anything you do can be a challenge. Finding your voice, your style, if you will, can be a challenge. And so the first thing that you should do is read, write, study, watch, and listen. Just devour as much content as you can. Right? If you're going to be a scriptwriter, you need to read a lot of scripts. You need to watch a lot of movies. You need to watch a lot of TV. You need to read art books. You need to read comic books. You need to read prose books. You need to learn to draw. And all that stuff comes filtering down. You get inspiration. I mean, we have a style of lighting in video called Rembrandt lighting. And the reason why it's called Rembrandt lighting is because it's taken directly from the classic painting master, Rembrandt, and the way that he would light to get that nice little triangle of light under the eye. The way the image kind of glowed from all of the light. Those are the things that are supposed to inspire you to learn from. And you know what? Here's the thing. When you enrich your mind and explore your horizons, you're more open to new ideas. So I don't know. Pea is peanuts. Let's say that peanuts, the little goober peas, that's your pea art that you do. And you might be sitting there thinking, oh, well, I could draw just a regular peanut, a peanut shell, Mr. Planters, Jimmy Carter. You know, you could draw a skyscraper in the shape of a peanut. But the more you are familiar with the world around you by consuming other media, the easier it's going to be for you to draw inspiration from. And maybe you should follow and look at some of your favorite artists. What is their style like? How do they do things? And then I think it's totally okay to copy everything you love. Again, copy for learning purposes. You know, I think it was Hunter S. Thompson. Don't quote me on this. But I'm pretty sure Hunter S. Thompson said when he was trying to learn to write, what did he get out? The Ernest Hemingway book. And he sat down and he just typed. He read the book, and as he was reading it, he was typing it word for word, comma for comma, hyphens, paragraph, breaks, periods, all that stuff. And he just typed it. Why? Because he wanted to see what it felt like to build a structure, to really understand what Hemingway was doing in his writing. You know, really wanted to understand, why did he use this word, or why was the comma put there? And so he learned to be a better writer by literally copying Ernest Hemingway. At least that's the story, I believe, with the two names, if I remember that correctly. If not, put your two favorite writers in there and attribute it to them. But it's good. Who in the chat? Malone says the best steal with style, right? Great artists borrow, good artists borrow, great artists steal. I mean, look at the Rolling Stones. Look at Led Zeppelin, right? It's probably going to get me sued right there, but anyway. So I can't, but here's the problem, right? Greg Land, we've talked about Greg Land before, an artist who has been accused of tracing pornographic images for comic book art. You know, the O face, or the muscular face, or the grunt face, or the pose that he just takes right out of some pornographic material. And he passes that off as him. And certainly if you're learning to draw, I don't have a problem if you're learning by tracing. Maybe you can learn some proportions and some anatomy and posing and where light is coming from as you are learning. It's what I tell my students. Go take a scene from your favorite director and recreate that scene shot for shot. Try to match the angle as closely as you can. I think there's a whole movement of this on YouTube called sweeting, where you do this little cheap, super low budget take on a movie trailer or something. But I tell my students, do it in real life. Go and take your favorite scene from The Godfather. If it's got a camera move in it, you do that camera move. If it's got 20 people in the shot and they're all framed and staged perfectly, recreate that shot. You're going to learn about staging and framing and composition and lighting and editing just by copying what other people have done. But you cannot stop there. As much as we like to praise Quentin Tarantino lifts so much from other sources. Chinese cinema, Sergio Leone, Kung Fu cinema, whatever it may be that he's into. And then once you've learned that, then you can take all that stuff that has been floating around your universe, the books you've been reading, the magazines you've been consuming, the TV shows and music you've been reading and listening to. And then you can take those things that you love and those parts that you love and adapt it to what you're ripping off. And the next thing you know, you've got the next Brick from Rian Johnson. Or you've got Knives Out, which, essentially is a cozy mystery, a little Agatha Christie mystery. When you watch that trailer, it borrows heavily from Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile, right? But what Rian Johnson does is he made that his own, in both cases. But you know instantly what he's homaging, but he's not stealing. He's not directly stealing what people have done with Agatha Christie or other cozy mystery novels, Nero Wolfe, etc. But you can see the influence. But the thing is, copy and then adapt all the things that you like, smash them together, right? You look at Westworld, or you look at Blade Runner, and you look at steampunk. You look at Harry Potter, where you take the best of Books of Magic by Neil Gaiman and you take the best of J.R.R. Tolkien, smash them together, and you get Harry Potter. Or, you know, young teenage mystery adventure tales, smash them all together, and you get that. Take Sweet Valley High and J.R.R. Tolkien and the Books of Magic, and there you got Harry Potter. Babysitter's Club. Whatever it may be. It's okay to borrow. It's okay to draw inspiration from other things and incorporate those things. Why do you think so many people homage issue number, 7 or 8 of Crisis on Infinite Earths, where Superman is standing there crying while he's holding Supergirl, which in itself is just a lift from Michelangelo. So it's okay to do that. Find out what works for you. Create your own code. Create your own shortcuts for how to do things. That's how you find your voice. And I guarantee you, the next thing you know, you will be doing the next Inktober or the next challenge, NaNoWriMo, whatever it may be. And it's going to be going, oh, you know what? I remember taking this idea and this concept and this thought. Let's mash those together and tell a story. Because now I have a greater breadth and depth of knowledge about this particular subject, or how these stories are told, or whatever that may be. This anatomy, this whatever. And now my next Inktober is going to be even more impressive. Balooey says Elvis lifted so much of his music. That's true. He borrowed a lot of that from blues, and that's what the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin did as well. If you have a moment, I would go track down the internet docu-series called Everything is a Remix, to go and look and see how music and copyright are very much intertwined and conflicted with one another. Malone says Tarantino is the ultimate fanboy with the knack of amazing dialogue and attention to detail. Entertainment is 10,000 years old. Every high concept has been used. It's about adapting and mixing with fresh views. That's right. And that's how you find your voice. Adapting, changing, mixing, drawing inspiration, or copying from other people. You know, why does every art class have a nude modeling? Every drawing class has like some nude modeling segment where somebody comes in, takes off their clothes and draws them. Every class. Why? Because it's getting you to understand concepts of anatomy. Well, can't I just look at a adult magazine or go onto the web and look at naked people and draw from that? Sure, you could. But I think there are unreal expectations in some of those outlets. But if you see real people and draw from that, it'll give you a different perspective. And then you can bring your own style. Maybe you want to use more curves or more straight lines. Maybe you want to look at, what is his name? Hirschfeld. Is that his name? I think so. Maybe that is your style. Or maybe you're someone who's more angular, like a Picasso. Those two would have very different takes on the same subject. And that's what finding your voice and finding your style is all about. But the thing is, Picasso didn't become Picasso until he drew a really crappy circle. Michelangelo didn't become Michelangelo until he drew a square that wasn't perfectly square, or a face that didn't look like a real face. But he kept at it, and he kept doing it, he kept repeating it. Not for 31 days, not for 32 days, but his entire life. And so, I guess what I'm getting at here, ladies and gentlemen, is that you shouldn't freak out when you're challenged to go out and do art. But here's Malone says, and until Michelangelo got really wealthy sponsors. No, he didn't become Michelangelo because he got wealthy sponsors. He got sponsors because he became Michelangelo. The sponsor saw the work that he was doing and said, I want to make sure that this art continues. I want to support the arts. I want to support this person. And he went up through a school system, I'm sure. An apprentice system. But the point is, he got those sponsors because people saw the talent that he was expressing. And he only got that talent that he was expressing because he worked at it every single day. And so in 15 days, when Inktober comes to an end, and when NaNoWriMo begins the very next day, keep at it. Don't worry if your first stuff is bad. Don't worry if you get to the end of 30 days or 31 days and you're like, hey, I see a little improvement. And then put your inks away until next year. You got to keep doing it. You got to keep pushing. You know, don't wait till Valentine's Day to tell your significant other that you love them. You know, tell them every day. There's nothing wrong with that. Unless, of course, they give you a restraining order, in which case you probably shouldn't. But learn to adapt, learn to adjust, and don't be super hard on yourself. And I know that's hard. From a creator standpoint, it is super hard to sit there and go, because you always want to strive to be the best you can. And that is one of the biggest problems with, with any kind of creative, is that it does build on you, gives you stress. And at this time, we're trying to avoid as much stress as we possibly can, right? It wasn't like Vincent van Gogh, who was never commercially successful in his lifetime. Hey, H.P. Lovecraft was not successful in his lifetime. Robert E. Howard was not a success in his lifetime. We see people, very few people who achieve a level of fame and success during their lifetime. Very few people do that. A lot of people only get that way afterwards. Okay. Yes, and putting your inks away for a year makes your skills go rusty, says Pleasant Doom. And Bluey says, I would argue with H.P. In that case, that H.P. Lovecraft, that it was a good thing. True. Racist person. But still, the point being made is so much of what we have in our popular culture today is drawn from what H.P. Lovecraft created. Okay? And because he created this idea of sharing, people free to share his ideas because he thought it was all junk anyway, we now have this Cthulhu mythos. We now understand what cosmic horror really is. But the guy died, penniless, pretty much. Robert E. Howard put a shotgun in his mouth and pulled the trigger. That's getting away from the topic of keep trying. Don't let it get to you. You'll get there. You will get better. It's having a conversation in the car with my son this morning because he said he had a spelling test today. And I said, well, are you ready for your spelling test? He goes, I don't know. And I said, well, do you know all the words? I think so. And I said, well, maybe you should sit down and write those words 5 times in cursive, because I know he hates cursive and that's what he's learning right now. And he says, oh, I hate cursive. My handwriting is the worst. And I had to tell him, look, we've had this conversation so many times. Practice, practice, practice. You're not going to get out of the gate and be successful with your first attempt. You're going to stumble. You're going to have to rewrite. You're going to have to erase. You're going to have to practice again and again and again. This is why you go to karate, so you can become better. And every time you go, yes, the first time you learn a move, you're going to forget a bunch of stuff. But the 10th time you go through a form, you're going to know it. And by the 100th time when you're doing a test on that form, it's going to be second nature to you. So, practice, practice, practice. Don't freak out if you're not as good as someone else. Don't compare yourself to other people. Compare yourself to the way you were 30 days ago, and I think you're going to be much happier in the end. Let's see. Only artists from societies where high arts were really appreciated were commercially successful, thus the meaning of Renaissance. Kevin Smith had a good discussion on popularity being cultivated. If you can survive long enough, you will become popular again. I listened to that discussion that he had. I think it was on the most recent Fat Man Chronicles or whatever it was, where they were doing the Batman stuff, and he was talking a little bit about that. Or no, that was with the what's her name interview, where he was talking about that. I would argue that Kevin Smith never lost popularity. He just gained a wider access to his fans. And because he had wider access to his fans and easier access to his fans, that's what boosted his popularity. So yeah, Felicia Day, that's right. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on Inktober. I don't know what you guys think. Hopefully you have some thoughts and ideas, and if you are participating in Inktober, congratulations. Good job. I'm sure you're doing great. But don't compare yourself to others. Compare yourself to you 30 days later. Kevin Smith became popular with the internet. Yes. Technology gave him that avenue to get out there and do what it was the Quick Stop website that he had for a long time. Doing stuff with other websites. Yeah, he's been doing it for a long time. So those are what gave him that popularity. I mean, we can have a whole discussion on how you can go out and look for popularity. Unfortunately, we don't have time to do that right now. But it has to do with a little bit with a genre thinking and genre theory. Maybe we will do that next week on Finally Friday. And then, so next week we'll do genre theory and how it relates to finding an audience that's perfect for you. And how do you gain popularity in your audience if that's what you're really, truly looking? I've got some thoughts on that. They may not be the best thoughts, but maybe it will help some of you figure out where you want to go and a direction for you. And maybe it will help you find your voice and your style as you move forward. And then in 2 weeks, I promise, I was kind of teasing it that I might talk about it today, but in 2 weeks, I promise we will be talking about conspiracy theories. That'll be just in time for the election. We'll talk about conspiracy theories and a revelation that someone has made for me on conspiracy theories. That's coming up in 2 weeks right here on Finally Friday, 4 o'clock p.m. Central Time, right here on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Major Spoilers. And I know this show is about to end, and you're going to be heartbroken for another week. And you might say, hey, there's some really cool people like Balooey and Malone and Pleasant Doom and all these other people who are hanging out and chatting. Mark Smith 72. I forget who else is here today. And you might be thinking to yourself, I would love to continue this conversation with these really awesome people, and you can by joining our Discord server. Join us over on our Discord server. Hang out, chat with all the wonderful people over there. Some wonderful things going on. And if you do want to become a patron of the arts, join us on our Patreon page at patreon.com/Major Spoilers, where just a few little pennies, not a few pennies a day can feed a starving Stephen. Few pennies a day, a couple of bucks a month can make sure that these conversations continue for months and years to come. And all the things that we do at the Major Spoilers Podcast Network. I'm not saying go over there and join now, but go over to patreon.com/Major Spoilers and just check out, see what we offer. See if any of those things stick with you. And then head over to our Discord and join us over there for more conversations. All right, here we come with a very long list of credits from some of our patrons, not all of them, but some of our patrons, getting close to 600 patrons right now. You can become one of those if you're not. Patreon.com/Major Spoilers. We'll be back next week to talk about genre theory and how you might find your tribe next time on Finally Friday. Until then, take care, do good, be good, wear your mask, wear a condom, practice safe sex, don't drink and drive, wear your seatbelt, and so many other cool things that you should probably do. Get out there and vote. I got my early voting thing today. I can't wait to do that. It's all happening. Voting ends November 4th. This is going to go by really fast. There's so many names on here. Look at all these people. Probably should have made those names a little bigger, but there's so many of them. Look at all those Davids and Drews and Evans and Ivans and all the J names. Is your name in there? If it is, thank you. Look at all those silver spoilerites. You can see your name right here in lights over at patreon.com/Major Spoilers. Go have a weekend, everybody. Go relax. Yeah, these are still just the silver sponsors. Yes, that is correct. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you again soon.